and happens to be wrong, he's cut down to 53 million and would be far, far behind his heads-up opponent.
Really freaking gross. That was that.
And now it's just really about maybe the perception that Tamayo has of Griff's image up until this point. I think there it goes.
He musters up a call, and we'll take that pot.
Jonathan Tamayo is here for a reason.
A pot of $256 million. Really? Where? Where would you wear it?
I mean,
The mall.
Okay.
Big man on campus at the mall.
I think you earned that. You earned the right to wear it for a week.
Okay.
No, it is gaudy, as you know. I'm actually always surprised when I see NFL players wearing outsized Super Bowl rings for the rest of their life.
He wasn't a poker pro. He worked a regular 9-to-5 job, sat in endless meetings, and lived what most people would call a very normal life. Yet in the summer of 2024, Jordan Griff walked into the World Series of Poker main event and left with $6 million.
Maybe it never happens, and now it's happened in the biggest one.
I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions that hand. The very first hand of the day, I pick up queens. I'm excited about it. There was a big pay jump too, so I'm a little nervous. I get it in. Most of my stack pre-flop, assuming we're just committed. Flop wasn't great for me. There was an ace on there. I thought he may have.
Because here's the truth. Griff wasn't supposed to be here. At the start of that tournament, he had barely $47,000 in recorded live poker earnings. So how did he end up becoming the weekend warrior? Let's find out. Let's start with the basics.
It's really nice when you do have a stack size in the big that just seems ripe for squeezing. But what about Griff with the sevens? What does he want to do against 20 bigs? I just think that this is probably going to go into the muck. I feel like, Sirach, of course, will have some hands that he's flipping again.
Griff grew up in Schaumburg, Illinois, went to Arizona State University, and studied supply chain management and marketing. That's where his life was headed: career, family, a stable routine. And for the most part, that's exactly what he lived. Poker was always there, but it wasn't the main thing. He'd played the main event before, but never made it past day 2. When he showed up in 2024, it was his third attempt, and he could have easily been just another face in a sea of more than 10,000 entrants.
A jack, and Angelov is gone. It's another 9.
What an adrenaline rush.
I need to fix that now. That's the real question.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know either.
But, come to think of it, I think Bulgaria...
The field in 2024 was historic. 10,112 players, the largest main event in poker history. The prize pool stretched into record-breaking territory, with $10 million reserved for first. And tucked away in that enormous field was a man who would, step by step, hand by hand, find himself living the dream every poker player imagines when they sit down with their $10,000 ticket.
In line with that, when you look at the fact that it's a blended statistic that we saw, it all kind of makes sense for why they ended up accumulating the way they did.
From the early days, Griff showed patience. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't trying to outmaneuver every pro he faced. Instead, he stuck to solid decisions, trusted his instincts, and slowly began building a stack. By day 5, he realized it wasn't just a fun run anymore. He had chips, and he had a shot.
The real question.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know either.
But, come to think of it, I think Bulgaria, I think it's bordered to the north by Greece and Turkey. Might be bordered to the south by Serbia and
North Macedonia.
To the west.
By day 7, Griff found himself on a feature table, under the bright ESPN-style lights, with microphones clipped to his shirt and cameras capturing his every move. For most first-timers, that's where the nerves kick in, but not for Griff. Instead of freezing, he thrived. In his own words, he was shocked at how calm he felt, locked in and focused, mowing down his table and doubling his stack. He had stepped into the spotlight, and instead of shrinking, he grew bigger.
All right. Same situation.
He's got history with that hand, both good and bad.
Flipping this time. We're flipping. Flip. We're flipping.
As-roi, paire de trois.
Threes versus ace king. I have pocket threes. He has ace king.
J'ai As-roi suit. Allez.
And then came the final table, the stage every poker player dreams about. The Thunderdome was roaring with chants from the rails, cameras everywhere, and millions watching online. This was poker's pinnacle, and Jordan Griff was right there in the middle of it. One hand, though, became the symbol of his run, the clash with Swedish legend Nicholas Estet, one of the greatest online players in history.
You know, does Queens play as a shove here? You know,
The bet was
159 million.
do aces just jam turn for over pot? You know, or does he perhaps have some of those straight draw, flush draw combinations? I mean, maybe Estet wondering, does he have some like king eight suiteds that he...
And he makes the call, and he's way behind.
Wow.
Jordan Griff
We need to
on
dodge a
the
queen.
cusp of a monster pot, a monster lead, and a monster
We just
knockout.
need to dodge a queen. Oh my God, we just need to dodge a queen.
Nicholas Estet into his corner. Jordan Griff
Like
likewise.
that. No.
Griff is stunned at where it stands.
This is huge. No way.
Tamayo could be heads up.
The setup was classic. Griff 3-bet with pocket nines. Estet called, and the flop came down, giving Griff a set. On the turn, with the board connected and dangerous, Griff shoved. For Estet, sitting with top pair in a draw, it was an agonizing decision. He called and was crushed. Griff held, knocking out the giant and vaulting into the chip lead.
Jordan Griff
Like
likewise.
that. No.
Griff is stunned at where it stands.
This is huge. No way.
Tamayo could be heads up on one more street. Estet needs it now.
Has to have a queen or he's gone.
Jordan with the family.
Card right here.
The biggest moment of this main event falls right now. The river card, the king of hearts! Griff!
That moment was pure main event magic. The amateur, the weekend warrior, sending home one of the most feared players on the planet. The rail erupted. Griff's wife, Paige, pregnant with their first child, was in tears on the sidelines. And suddenly, the reality was in front of him. He wasn't just making a deep run. He was heads up for the main event title. But before we get there, let's talk about what made Griff different.
Absolute pinnacle, what would it be like? The quintessential example is to have a big stack in the main, run deep. You get the days 5, 6, 7, whatever. I don't even know how many days that there are. And then ultimately you make that final table, whether it's the November 9 or just, is there even a name for it anymore? I don't even know. What was it like to get to live out that poker dream?
Incredible. I think I started telling family and friends around day 5. I'd grown a big stack, and I'm like, okay, I might have this for a while, and like now's a good time to start telling people that like I'm making a deep run in the main, and it just, you know, updating everyone throughout it, being there with family and friends over the phone, and then eventually getting them on the rail for the last 2 days was just...
Unlike so many pros, he wasn't living and dying with every card. Even in the toughest spots, he kept smiling. Every time he lost an all-in, he fist-bumped his opponent. He wasn't sulking. He wasn't tilting. He was enjoying every second of it. That attitude earned him fans far beyond the rail in Las Vegas. Back home, people from all over were reaching out to him. It's easy to forget that poker isn't just about GTO charts and solvers. It's about people. It's about stories. And Jordan Griff's story reminded everyone why the main event still matters. Of course, no main event run is complete without controversy. Griff's year wasn't spared. His heads-up opponent, Jonathan Tamayo, had a rail equipped with laptops and software, and pictures surfaced of ranges being pulled up mid-final table. It sparked what became known as Laptop Gate, one of the most heated debates poker had seen in years.
It was on the computer, which frankly is ridiculous.
Do you think the haters have any valid response at all?
The line with real-time assistance is quite clearly defined, taking advice in the middle of a hand, as it refers to your.
Were solvers being used in real time? Did it cross the line from coaching to cheating? The poker world was split, but the optics were bad, and the conversation overshadowed what should have been Griff's fairy tale moment.
Like, I proved it, whether I won or not, I had the ability to. I'm an amateur. It's just an amazing feeling. And, I try to not focus on the things that I can't control.
To his credit, Griff didn't let it consume him. In interviews afterward, he said he never focused on what Tamayo's rail was doing. His job was to play his game, make good decisions, and enjoy the experience. And that's exactly what he did. Even when Even when the cards didn't fall his way, because at the end of the day, poker always has its cruel flips. In the final hand, Griff held pocket sevens against Tamayo's king 10. The flop ran out queen jack 9, all hearts, and suddenly his dream of becoming world champion slipped away. He finished second, earning $6 million. It wasn't the fairy tale ending, but it was everything else.
I heard the noises that something happened. I look back, I see the queen, and I let out some sort of noise. I don't remember what it was, but just pure emotion from it.
What stood out wasn't just his winnings. It was how he carried himself through the entire journey. When Jordan Griff sat down at the final table, the world didn't quite know what to expect from him. To the outside, he was the amateur among giants. To those who'd been watching the broadcast, he was the smiling assassin, always calm, always collected, and somehow never rattled. For Griff, it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving that he belonged.
That's a lot of money. I'm having a baby in 2 months, so I need to get baby supplies. I'm going to do a college fund for my son. And then after that, probably some nice gifts for myself and my wife, and probably invest the rest of it.
And he wasted no time doing just that. The first major confrontation that announced him as a contender came in a hand against Jonathan Tamayo.
Call.
He does call with the sixes.
Flipping.
Again,
Another
Griff
flip.
at risk and with the better hand right now.
Sixes versus ace-8.
Ace-8. Ace-8 to sixes.
Yeah.
We have ace-8.
Same situation it was for Jordan Griff to close this out earlier. Now he is all in. But he had called an all in with pocket sevens against Tamayo's push with king 10.
Tamayo with 2 overs to the pocket sixes of the at-risk player.
The board was scary. Draws had missed, and Griff kept firing, flop, turn, river, until Tamayo finally surrendered. For the amateur, it was another display of fearlessness. He wasn't just sitting around waiting for cards. He was crafting a narrative, forcing the pro across from him to squirm. But Tamayo wasn't going away. He picked his spots, made sharp calls, and gradually clawed back momentum. In one crucial hand, Griff tried again to bluff a river, representing strength that he didn't have. This time, Tamayo looked him up, making the hero call with just a pair. The pendulum swung again, and suddenly Griff found himself battling from behind. What made the heads-up so compelling wasn't just the cards. It was the clash of styles. Griff was open, smiling, sometimes even chatting at the table, fist-bumping opponents after losing pots. Tamayo was locked in, stoic, focused only on the win. One man represented the amateur dream, the other the seasoned pro, and both wanted the bracelet that symbolized poker immortality. Then there was the controversy, the laptops on Tamayo's rail.
And make it impossible to police. Because it doesn't feel like the game that we signed up for, necessarily, or the game that people mostly want to play. And this is especially impactful on recreational players, which is, of course, where all of the money comes from. We have to think about the poker economy at large. And this is clearly a very bad look for poker. This is something that people have been saying. They use the term bad look for this a lot because it's a very apropos term. Not just the laptop and everything, but
Pictures spread online showing his friends with solver charts software open, seemingly relaying information during play. To many in the poker world, it crossed a line. Debate raged across Twitter, podcasts, and news outlets. Was it cheating? Was it coaching? Did it taint the outcome? For Griff, though, none of that mattered in the moment. He was locked in on the felt, focused only on the man in front of him. Later, he admitted he never let himself get distracted. If the World Series wanted to enforce rules, that was their job. His was to play. Play he did. But to really appreciate the legacy of Griff's run, you have to zoom out and see how it fits in the long history of amateurs making waves in the main event. From Chris Moneymaker sparking the boom, to Jerry Yang, to John Hesp charming the world with his wild suits. Griff's name now sits alongside theirs, a reminder that the dream is still alive. When the dust settled on the 2024 World Series of Poker main event, the headline read, Jonathan Tamayo wins $10 million. But scroll through the comments, the forums, the tweets, and you'll see something different. The name on everyone's lips wasn't just Tamayo's, it was Jordan Griff's. That's the power of the main event. The bracelet and the money are huge, but it's the stories that last. And Jordan Griff's story, an amateur with less than 50 grand in winnings turning a buy-in into 6 million, was the one that stood out. Poker's always been about possibility. Think about Chris Moneymaker in 2003, an accountant who changed the entire game by winning the main. Or John Hesp in 2017, the British amateur in Wild Jackets who lit up the broadcast. Or Jerry Yang in 2007, who shocked the field with fearless aggression. Jordan Griff belongs in that same group. He didn't win, but he proved that lightning still strikes. That an everyday guy with a job and a family can walk into poker's biggest stage and go toe-to-toe with the best. It wasn't just his play, it was his attitude. Every time he lost an all-in, he smiled, fist-bumped his opponent, and moved on. Fans loved it. In an era where long tanks and stone-faced pros slow the game down, Griff brought back the joy. That's why the controversy hurt. Because while Griff was living out the amateur dream, Jonathan Tamayo's rail was caught with laptops running solver software. Pictures and clips spread online. Was it coaching? Was it real-time assistance? The WSOP, already known for vague rule enforcement, suddenly had a problem on its biggest stage. Griff stayed focused. He said later he noticed things but didn't dwell on them. His job was to play, not get distracted. But outside the room, the debate blew up. Pros like Daniel Negreanu called for strict enforcement.
For me, what I saw from the picture, right, and what I assume is happening in terms of value, and first of all, when you talk about the value, like in a heads-up spot against a non-pro, the value is going to be minimal in terms of what he gains. This isn't like, oh my God, he gets to just win, right? Most of the stuff that you're going to be looking at is pre-flop. I think probably the biggest value they're looking at is as the stack sizes change, right? When you're playing 40 deep, 60 deep, 80 deep, you know, the optimal open sizes are different. The opening ranges are different. You're adding limping ranges. You're adding all these kind of things. So if in real time, like Dom is crunching the numbers in terms of how many big blinds effective they are, he can continually update what you should be doing pre-flop. Again, I think, you know, the game tree breaks down when you get to the flop, turn, and river, but you know, that edge is minimal. And which is why partly I wonder, like, if you're gaining so little from this, is this really like optically what you really want to be doing? Is this even necessary?
Oh my God, man. That point, that honestly, like that's kind of the biggest point to me.
Others pointed to Nevada gaming rules on devices. Some brushed it off as just coaching. Most agreed the optics were bad. The middle of it all was Griff, the amateur, the father-to-be, who never asked for controversy, but had it tied to his run. History will show Tamayo as the champion, but it will celebrate Griff, because his run was pure poker magic. The shove with a set of nines against Nicholas Ashtet, the fearless bluffs, the discipline under pressure, and that humanity, smiling, sharing the ride with his rail, and connecting with fans at home. And that's the dream the main event has always sold. Whether it's Doyle Brunson, Bill Hellmuth, or Chris Moneymaker, the idea is simple. Put up $10,000, you have a chance. Jordan Griff lived that dream. He didn't win the bracelet, but he won something else, a place in poker's memory. Years from now, fans will still mention his run, because sometimes the runner-up gives the story that really inspires. So who is Jordan Griff? He's the weekend warrior, the supply chain manager who turned $10,000 into $6 million. The amateur who knocked out a legend and faced down a pro heads up. The guy who showed that poker isn't just about money, it's about dreams. That's why the name stuck. Weekend Warrior. Not because he played casually, but because he showed that even part-timers can rise to the occasion when the lights are brightest. That's his legacy. He didn't just cash, he created a story that fans will tell again and again. And maybe that's even more powerful than a bracelet, because titles fade, but stories, the ones that inspire people to believe, last forever. So, is Jordan Griff the new face of the amateur poker dream? Tell us what you think in the comments. You don't walk away when the story's just getting started. This run lit up the main event, but the next chapter is even bigger. The dream's alive, the legends are growing, your seat's already reserved.